And this really comes from a core notion of optimizing for now. Don't optimize for the future. Optimize for today. Just with the credit card thing, people often ask you, but what are you going to do when you're 100 people? How is it going to work then? Well, when we're 100 people, we're going to figure it out. Today, we're 12 people, and we're going to make the kind of decisions that's right for 12 people. And I think this is kind of a stigma that comes from this over-focus on big companies. Small companies think that they have to look up to the big guys, and that's how they're going to beat them. No, it's not. If you try to implement the policies and practices that makes Google Google, when you're 12 people or 50 people, you're absolutely going to fail. The things that are right for a company of 100,000 are exactly the things that are dead wrong for a company of 50. So I think most small companies have all the wrong idols. They have all the wrong aspirations. They think that just following the big guys is how they're going to beat them. Of course not. There's no way you're going to beat Google by trying to be Google. You have to outsmart them in some way. Well, our main strategy for trying to outsmart the competition is by trying to underdo the competition. There's no way that we can spend more money on development or advertising or anything than Microsoft or Google or whoever we might compete with. That game would just be lost. If you're going up head-to-head with Google, you will lose. If you're going up head-to-head with Microsoft, you will lose, because these companies are bigger and better funded than you are. So you have to find out strategies where you're not just going to try to copy what they're doing. You do something else. And our favorite way of doing something else is doing less. So 37 Signals is trying in all of its products to have less features, be less complicated than the competition. And we think that that's an absolutely astonishingly good place to be, because it's almost impossible for the big guys to clone that. If Microsoft sees competition somewhere, they're going to try to use their strength. They're going to say, well, we have more money. Of course we can outsmart them. These guys who built Basecamp with 3 guys over 5 months, well, we're going to give it 50 guys, and we're going to give it 18 months, and we're going to have so much better a system to beat them with. But of course that doesn't work, because the kind of software you built when you have 50 guys for 18 months is the kind of software that takes 50 guys for 18 months to build, which is complex, hard to use, full of features that you don't need, and generally crappy. And it probably has a little thing called Clippy that tries to think that you're writing a love letter or something and wants to put smileys everywhere and other features that you don't need. And I think that that's the magic of being small. You have constraints. You cannot spend 50 guys for 18 months because you don't have 50 guys or 18 months for that sake. So you have to do with what you got. And you get wonderful software, you get wonderful services when you apply extreme constraints to it. Whenever we do customer surveys, we've had more than 2 million people use our products. Whenever we do customer surveys to all of these people, the number one thing that everybody says that they love about Basecamp, that they love about Highrise, that they love about any of our products is that it's simple and easy to use. Most people don't need that much stuff. Most people just need the basics executed beautifully. And that is absolutely a point where you can do good. Kind of a correlate to this is a theme we have of how do we get to underdo the competition? Well, if you can think of, this is the product that I want to build, cut it in half. We say build half, not half-assed. So try to focus on just less than you even think you need. And execute really well on that instead of trying to do everything that you possibly think that you should have. Part of saying just build half is also saying you have to say no a lot. We say no by default to pretty much everything. When we get feature requests from ourselves, when we get feature requests from our customers, we have to just, as a basic rule, say no. We're not going to do it. Because if you just have 12 people, you get to say yes about, 3 times a week? That's 3 yeses. We get 200 emails per day, And most of those 200 emails ask us, hey, by the way, could you implement this thing? Could you make that purple? Could you turn this around? Could you do all of these things? And we have to just get into the theme of saying no, 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 no. Because that's the only way we're going to actually create something. And I think that this is really hard. A lot of companies, a lot of businesses have a really hard time saying no to their customers because they think saying no to their customers is somehow disrespectful. Well, the fact is, if you do everything that every single customer told you to do, you would have a piece of software, you would have a service that nobody wanted to use. And by the way, this is not just us saying it. Here's a wonderful quote from Steve Jobs of Apple, and he's talking about what's making most proud about Apple. Well, all his pride, it comes from saying no to 1,000 things to make sure we don't get on the wrong track or try to do too much. We also we are always thinking about new markets we could enter, but it's only by saying no that you can concentrate on the things that are really important. I think this is absolutely true. For Apple, they're much simpler than the competition in terms of the lineup of products that they have. And Apple even have a lot of people. So if you're not Apple, you have to do even less than Apple is doing. Now, how do you get the word out about this wonderful, really simple product that you built that does less than the competition and so forth? Because you're not going to outspend Microsoft. They just spent $300 million on a marketing campaign that isn't working very well, I think. Our prime way of marketing is this notion of following the chefs. Now, there's a lot of chefs in this world. There's Jamie Oliver, there's Gordon Ramsay, there's all these chefs that we kind of know. Why do we know these chefs? Is it because they're the best chefs in the world, that they make the best food in the world? No. Most people haven't even tasted what Jamie Oliver's food tastes like or Gordon Ramsay's food tastes like. Why they know these guys is because they share. They share their recipes. They give their secrets away. They give away how Jamie Oliver is going to make a lamb shank. He's going to tell you just exactly how he would make it, so you can do it too. And this is an incredibly powerful way of building an audience for your products, an incredible, powerful way of getting people engaged. But most businesses think that we can't tell people our secrets. Those are proprietary business secrets, and they're so special because we're so special. And if we told anybody what we're doing, anybody could just clone it. Well, do you think Gordon Ramsay is afraid that some schmuck is going to buy his cookbook and open a restaurant next to his and try to make the same dishes? Of course he's not, because that's ludicrous. But still, that's the main way people or companies often deal with their secrets. Well, our strategy is to out-teach, outshare, and out-contribute the competition. This is why I'm here. This is why we wrote a book. This is why we blog a bunch every day on our site. This is why we give away things like Ruby on Rails and other open source products or projects, because we're trying to out-teach, outshare, and out-contribute the competition. Because we're not going to outspend them. That's not going to happen. We don't have 300 million for a marketing campaign, so you have to try something different, something else. So I'd leave you to think about, what is your cookbook? What are your secrets? What are the things that are special about your business that you could outshare the competition with, out-contribute the competition with? And finally, I'd say the number one thing is always be questioning. Why are we doing this? This goes for anything. Why are we working 5 days a week? Why couldn't we work 4 days a week? Why doesn't everybody just have a credit card instead of coming running to me and asking if they can buy this book off Amazon or asking me to book their traveling tickets to somewhere? Why are we doing that? And when you're working on a feature, what problem are we really trying to solve? Is this actually useful? We have a saying of cool wears off, but useful never does. There's a lot of things where you get excited in the beginning about a certain feature request and you just want to do it, but you have to get into this say no by default first, and then figuring out whether it's actually useful, whether it's actually adding value, and if you're implementing something on your site, is it actually going to change behavior? Are more people going to sign up for our product or our service because of this? If not, why, again, are we doing it? And is there an easier way? Is there a way where we could do this in 7 hours instead of 100 hours? Is there a way where we could do less planning, less meetings, so on and so forth? That's my spiel, and hopefully you guys have some questions. And this really comes from a core notion of optimizing for now. Don't optimize for the future. Optimize for today. Just with the credit card thing, people often ask you, but what are you going to do when you're 100 people? That are dead wrong for a company of 50. So I think most small companies have all the wrong idols. They have all the wrong aspirations. They think that just following the big guys is how they're going to beat them. Of course not. There's no way you're going to beat Google by trying to be Google. You have to outsmart them in some way. Well, our main strategy for trying to outsmart the competition is by trying to undo the competition. There's no way that we can spend more money on development or advertising or anything that they have to look up to the big guys, and that's how they're going to beat them. No, it's not. If you try to implement the policies and practices that makes Google Google when you're 12 people or 50 people, you're absolutely going to fail. The things that are right for a company of 100,000 are exactly the things. How is it going to work then? Well, when we're 100 people, we're going to figure it out. Today, we're 12 people, and we're going to make the kind of decisions that's right for 12 people. And I think this is kind of a stigma that comes from this over-focus on big companies. Small companies think